Meteorologist Tuttle here. For years, I've been recommending Ferguson Roof Systems to homeowners across Oklahoma. So when Mother Nature struck my house, it was an easy call to make. There's no one I would trust more than Ferguson Roof Systems for my home's roof. Since 1977, Ferguson has led the industry with an A+ Better Business Bureau rating and lifetime warranties. Plus, they'll even deal with the insurance companies so you don't have to. So when Mother Nature strikes, make your first call to Ferguson Roof Systems.
Hey everyone, Meteorologist Tuttle. Let's see, Saturday afternoon around almost 5 o'clock. Thanks for tuning in. I'm going to do a lunchtime live, a little bit of extended version. We're going to talk about the juicy details on the winter storm coming up for Tuesday and also the bitterly cold weather coming in. Big question is it going to be a mess for your week, your day? How long is it going to stick around? Are we talking about a lot of ice? Are we talking about a lot of snow? What is the details? So I'm going to get that for you here since we got a little bit of time. I did do a blog earlier, so if you do want the shortcut version, you don't have time to watch the video, you can always go read the blog. You can share that if you like on your social media platforms. You can also share this video as well. And so thanks for popping on in. All right, so make sure I got everything up and running here. Let me check all my stuff. Everything looks good there. Okay, you guys are good there on locals. YouTube, let's see, yep, you guys are good in the chat. Rumble's good, Facebook is good, TikTok, how you guys doing? Yeah, you're doing good too. And Instagram, how you guys doing? Yeah, you're there. All right, let's get on with it then, shall we? So yeah, let's have at it. Okay, so it's like the calm before the storm. I mean, that's such an overplayed expression, right? But it's nice. I mean, we almost got in the 40s. In my backyard, 34 degrees right now. So it's definitely the peak of the day as far as heat goes this time of the year. So, hey, at least we got above freezing. And believe it or not, we may not get above freezing. So Monday, we're going to be good on Monday. But then after that, we may not get above freezing until Saturday. That gives you any hint of what's coming our way. That's gross. I mean, I'm not ready for that. Are you ready for that? If you're ready for it, put it in the comments. If you're saying send it back to Canada, put that in the comments, and I'll tell Jody to pack it up and send it in her luggage. Say we don't want that nonsense. Here is a look at what is happening. Here's a big picture of the country is what I want to show you for right now. These are temperatures out there, and they're already cold. And here's the blue line for freezing. Actually, it's this little light blue line right here where it goes to red. Some maps have different color tables, but right here is where the freezing line is. It's a good chunk of the country, but up here north, when you get the purple into these little colors here that are in the pinkish, that's in the negative numbers, like lots of negative numbers. So if we were to zoom into that, that's up here into central Canada. So this is Manitoba right here. This is Saskatchewan or Saskatchewan. Remember that movie? I was going to quote the whole line, but it was hilarious. Anyway, so it's in the minus 30s right now to minus 40s in this color. So in other words, that was the nasty stuff that came out of Siberia that moved across the pole and is now sitting just up to our north, ready to come south. Doesn't have far to go to get here when it's in that position, and so therefore it doesn't get a chance to moderate much. All right, so here's a look what you can do. This is your winter storm planning timeline. A few days out, that's what now is. It's winter storm time, so let's talk about it. Have your emergency supplies for your home and car ready to go. Check your smoke, carbon monoxide detectors, replenish your fuel for your car and heating sources. You want to run your car on low fuel this time of the year. Speaking of which, I had to go gas my car up now. Think about it. Day before, that's tomorrow. Adjust your plans. Have multiple ways to receive warnings. Bring your pets indoors and ensure they have water. Of course, you farmers know what to do with your cattle. During the event and after, check on neighbors, of course, your family. Properly ventilate emergency heat sources. Keep your generator at least 20 feet from your home. And take it easy when shoveling. Yeah, believe it or not, you can get a heart attack from shoveling. Okay, I don't think you have to shovel around Oklahoma City, but you might have to shovel in other parts around here, and I'm going to show you where in a minute. But otherwise, you protect your people, your pets, your pipes, and your plants. I don't know what kind of pipes you're thinking of. We're talking about the ones that have water in them. But for people, minimize time outdoors, prepare for power outages if that's the case. I don't expect many around this area, but it always could be a couple. Check your elderly and vulnerable people. For pets, obviously, keep them warm, dry, interior. There are little people. I mean, I'm telling you, dogs, I'm telling you, there is something specially made for them when it comes to human interaction that no other animal has. It is impressive. So anyways, take care of those little guys. All right, insulate the pipes if possible. Open up sink cabinets to expose pipes into heated air and disconnect the hoses and turn the water off sprinklers. If you have not done that already, I don't know what you're waiting on. You got lucky. You might as well just go ahead and do it now. And of course, the plants, well, if you got any left over, you know what to do. All right, let's take a look at this. I'm going to put this in motion for you. This is the Arctic air Okay, so you see the purple. Obviously, that's really cold stuff. But then where you see the white back into the purple, that's what's really, really cold stuff, right? All right, so I'm going to put this into motion. I'm just going to watch how it kind of just slowly spills southward a little at a time. There you go. There's a big wave right there as we head into Tuesday. The high is centered right here, comes slowly down south, and moves over here for Wednesday, right here in Oklahoma and Kansas. And then it starts to shift off to the east a little bit for Thursday and Friday. And then by Friday and Saturday, look here, we finally get the blue out of here. The blue is temperatures below freezing. So there you go. It took all the way to get to just about Friday and Saturday before we can get things out of here. But if you look after that, look what happens. I mean, we get some pretty good warm air that comes in here for a while. And it looks like Old Man Winter tries to make one last little dip in here for the first week of March. Otherwise, we get a nice little blowtorch between then. So we are going to pay the piper this week, but we'll make up for it the following week. Now, how cold are we talking about, right? Well, I showed you those temperatures, right? Around minus 40 degrees right now. Well, that is what is our below normal spread coming. So if you look at this little white area, as this thing spills southward, it's hitting all these zones, including us, with readings that are minus 30, minus 40 to near minus 50 below where you would normally be this time of the year. Because once you get into middle part of February, believe it or not, we do or can get pretty warm with some sunshine in the afternoon. And that ain't going to happen with this system. Now, when this thing's gone and it fizzles out for the weekend, look how quick, this is on Sunday, by the way, look how quickly temperatures moderate and start to get back to near normal. But look at this heat wave up here in Canada. I mean, they're 20, 30 plus. So they go from way below to now way above. Look at that. That's a white color on the other end of the spectrum. What is this? About 30 to 40 degrees above normal. So that's going to melt all their snow like a blowtorch. But regardless, this is how quickly the pattern can change this time of the year. And I'll keep it going through time here. It'll show you much more waves coming and going, ebbing and flowing. And there's a little below normal period down here. I'll be in Mexico by the time we head toward that first week of March. That last ditch hurrah, but not nearly as impressive as you can see here compared to that first one. So those two maps were very impressive. I wanted to show you for the big picture. If you missed it on the animation, this is Wednesday morning. So it'll have temperatures about minus 47 degrees below normal here in Oklahoma City, minus 44 in Tulsa, minus 40s here. So what does that mean for this part of the country? It means your low temperature will be around a goose egg, right around zero. That's during the day, actually. That wasn't even the morning low. That was just during the afternoon, which means your afternoon temperature is also probably going to be right around the 10-degree mark. So we don't get much warmer out of the single digits for that. All right, so the big key message here for the week, obviously, is going to be the cold temperatures. When you factor in the wind, you get a wind chill forecast value with that, and that's going to be into the negative teens and negative 20s. You're like, big deal. Who cares? What's a wind chill minus 25? Well, unfortunately, that'll kill you if you stay out there too long. If you're out there for about 30 minutes or less, I don't want to say too less, because right now, it depends, but roughly about 30 minutes, you're going to get frostbite, all right? And that's when you start to lose appendages and do some unrepairable damage to your skin, where you walk into the doctor, and you got that black thumb, and the doctor's like, what happened to you? I said, I don't know. I just got cold one day. Didn't have my hands covered, and all of a sudden I woke up and now my hands are all black. Okay, well, you're going to lose a thumb. So you don't want to lose that, so make sure you bundle up multiple ways, nice thick clothing. Same thing here around the rest of Tulsa area. This one up here says for Tulsa, same kind of a deal. You got minus teens, not quite as cold. You do see upper teens and mid-teens in some of these areas from Muskogee, Tulsa, all of eastern, northeastern Oklahoma. The reason why you have just a little less wind in your area, where we have better wind in, say, the northwestern and western central parts of Oklahoma. So it's a little lighter in the wind chill, but otherwise, this story is the same. Okay, so temperatures for Tuesday morning. This is where things go downhill. This is the I-44 corridor right here. All right, and this is the I-40 corridor. So once again, when you get up in the morning on Tuesday, we're probably going to have the freezing line, something like this. So pretty much any precipitation that falls around this zone in the morning is going to be frozen, and it can extend further up to the north, which we'll look at here in a minute, which means, unfortunately, perfect time for drive to work. And that's not going to be good, right? Now, it's going to be light, which again is good. So it means no power outage problem just because of the weight of ice. But unfortunately, bridges and overpasses and the roadways will all deteriorate and go downhill. And of course, it only gets colder from here. This is just the start of the day as cold air continues to filter in hour by hour. Now, let me tell you what. Let me do this. So that was Tuesday. And for example, let me go to... So that was Tuesday morning. So for example, as we go throughout the day, I did want to show you this. We fall to around 17 degrees in the afternoon. So obviously cold air continues to pile in during the day. And we're single digits up here in Kansas. All right, now as we go a little bit past that point to Wednesday morning, we'll fall further to right around 5 degrees in Oklahoma City. All right, so pretty much in the single digits across the state. This purple area is below zero, so anywhere around here is all below zero, and this could give or take a couple of degrees. I mean, we're several days away, but that's kind of how that looks right now. And when you factor in the wind, like we talked about, here is the wind chill across the region for that. You've got minus 12 is what it's going to feel like, minus 18 Elk City, minus 21 in Liberal, and it does really not improve. So in other words, from Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday night, Wednesday, this all looks like this. All right, Thursday, it's still cold, still gross. It just, the wind will start to lighten up a little bit, but still not good. All right, so you want to be outdoors. Definitely not well protected. Okay, so now let's shift gears on the winter storm part of the equation. Now I've gotten the cold equation out of the way. By the way, that cold's going to last for a while, so it could be some pipe bursting. When you get temperatures that cold for that long, we're going to burst some pipes, so just let you know. Okay, where's that dry socket? That dry slot is coming right in here. You know what that means. That's going to reduce the amount of precipitation. Now where you see all the blue, deeper blue areas up here, obviously, that's your good deep moisture here in the mid-levels. So that's where your heavier precipitation is going to be, which means most of your accumulating wintry mess. And that includes snow. So that is what I guess is slowly been coming around in the model data. Remember, when you're far out in time, you know it's a system, and you have to obviously watch the trends. But to make promises and say you're going to get this much snow and this much ice several days out is why you want to do that, because as trends become more clear, well, obviously you have to massage your numbers. So this right here is going to really reduce the amount of precipitation here across Oklahoma in general. That's good news, of course, because we'll have a lot of cold air in place, so anything that does fall is going to have a difficult time melting because the air temperatures will overcome the ground temperatures. Okay, when does this start? Well, let's take a look here at the high-res NAM. And we'll stop you right about 11 o'clock tomorrow night. All right, so we shall start to see some light wintry precipitation breaking out, especially across northern Oklahoma. And it might kind of evaporate before hitting the ground initially, but we are at least getting some echoes starting to show up. There's 1 o'clock in the morning, there's 2 o'clock. So you can see across Kansas already, northern counties of Oklahoma, getting in on some of the light snow action, probably some light patchy drizzle mixed in there as well. As we hit to 5 and 6 o'clock, more moisture starts to slowly show up here on the map, and it barely see it, but that's a good indication that drizzle will be developing and some very light spotty showers. So as you go to 7 o'clock and 8 o'clock for that drive time period, you see how quickly though it just erupts when you're looking at what the radar animation would look like from the model output. And you can see here, this is a color of pink and red. Now pink and red is the wintry mix of ice, the icy stuff. You got sleet in here, you got freezing raindrops, you have a little patch of freezing drizzle. This is all kind of stuff that coats the roadways and the branches and the power lines and all that kind of stuff. So that's what this stuff is. Now the sleet, the little balls, and they'll bounce around. They'll still coat the roadways, but they won't mess with the trees usually too much. Maybe sometimes the leaves, but big leaves. But otherwise, it's the freezing drizzle that does that. Otherwise, you can get some snow up here where you have this part of the state. Still might get a little bit of a light touch of glaze underneath this snow for the early morning period, but that's how things will start. And of course, it's just a cold rain down here in southeast Oklahoma, so no threat for ice or anything down there for the first part of the day. As we go to 9 o'clock and 10 o'clock, hopefully it's not a deal where a lot of us had to go to work and all of a sudden then it hits and we're like, now we're all stuck here, right? We all have to drive on ice to get back home. Nobody really wants that. So if you do have plans and if you can cancel, talk to your boss into it. See what you can do. Put them in this video. Say, hey, go watch AT. But here's what happens by the time we head at 10 o'clock in the morning. Same idea from Tulsa to Oklahoma City, back down to Lawton, Wichita Falls, back here into southwest Oklahoma, I-40 corridor out here toward Elk City, about up to looks like Kingfisher, and then Stillwater, and just south of Bartlesville. That seems to be the sweet spot line for the bulk of the winter precipitation. That's not to say you can get a little bit more ice in here mixed in with some snow, but this particular model seems to favor that bound a little bit more. And I'm actually going to expand it more north, and I'll show you that here in a second. But southeast Oklahoma, again, just a cold rain. All right, let's get on through to noontime. So here's noontime on Tuesday. Really hadn't changed much, has it? All right, let's go to 1 and 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. All right, still got the snow. and now you're starting to see this line start to shift to the south and east here and taking the ice with it. Now cold enough for all snow on the back end, so you do get a little bit of snow on top of the little bit of ice that we get here in the greater Oklahoma City metro area. And Tulsa, you get quite a bit more snow, and some heavy snow at that, off and on, especially in the late afternoon and evening with this next band and this wave that pushes through. Here's that wintry mix finally hitting southeast Oklahoma, southeast McAllister, but not a whole lot. There's not a whole lot of moisture with this because of that first map I showed you just a few minutes ago where we've got that dry slot in place. Now, that also helps eliminate a lot of the heavy precipitation. So you can't get heavy snow and ice totals if you don't have a lot of what we would call liquid equivalent. So liquid equivalent, in other words, if it was just to become all rain, we're looking at 0.2, in other words, 0.2 of an inch. And that's not a whole lot. You know, when you go to water your lawn, when they tell you to water in, your fertilizer, whatever, they usually tell you about a quarter of an inch or more. So we're not even getting that. I mean, it's decent for winter time because it can cause a nuisance and problems, but that's about all it's good for. You do get some heavier amounts, so once you get into Arkansas, eastern Oklahoma, but again, a lot of this was above freezing, so that's okay. But then once you get up here, this is where things get interesting because all this should be below freezing for the whole event. And that means you're going to have, at a minimum, a 10-to-1 ratio, which means you can multiply by 10 on these numbers, and you can get the snowfall amount. So that's 10 times 0.7. So that's 7 inches of snow. All right, that's just a minimum. And the ratio will actually be a little higher than that. So in other words, be more like, 12 or 14 to 1, something like that, because the snow becomes a little more drier, a little more airy, and so that allows a little bit better way to accumulate. All right, rain goes to freezing rain. All right, so here's a look at that. Now, I chose this output. This is the first part of Tuesday. This is up through around lunchtime. So this kind of focuses where you're going to have the freezing rain line. And I would like a little bit more south than this, but not by much. It's okay. From right around Muskogee back to south in Norman, maybe Paoli, Pauls Valley kind of a deal, and then north side of Wichita Falls. So I still like that look, which is kind of similar to what it was this past week when we had the ice, but it does expand a little bit more north here to the border. So I do want to point that out. You'll get the light glazing up here for Monday night into Tuesday morning in this area. You can also see the amounts are still pretty light. They're up around, a tenth of an inch, maybe a little bit less than that. And some of this is going to be sleet mixed in versus just pure, just freezing drizzle, freezing rain. Now, this is just for the first part of the day. Once we go into the late afternoon, evening, you are going to get a secondary round right here. And this map doesn't show it, so I'm going to put this map on here for you. This is centered over Arkansas. So you are going to get also a light glaze in this region here. So this will be a travel nightmare for your latter part of your Tuesday and a Tuesday night across Arkansas. So once again, be careful, stay off the roads if you can. So that's a look at the ice equation of this forecast for the storm. What about the snow? So here's a look at that. This is a look at the total snowfall expected. A good swath across Nebraska and Kansas. Missouri is a sweet spot. We've talked about this the last few days. The global models have been loving the sweet spot right here on the ensemble outputs, and so that has not changed. And now we're getting to the operational run period where we start to get the actual legitimate totals that we can look at. And of course, they're higher than the global mean ensembles that we talked about, and that's fine. That was expected. But the trend had remained the same, so that's good. Now, if you do look at the hard line in the sand, southern half of Arkansas didn't get much. A little dusting at most. Same thing for the southern half of Oklahoma, and that's just because you get the rain and the freezing rain, the sleet mixed in too much, and there's not enough moisture around after the fact. Whereas most of the focus from that storm system after that point is off to our north, with better dynamics, and that is where you can get the higher snowfall amount. So that's about 10 inches of snow or so, some spots up around a foot into south central Missouri, and this would be blowing snow. All right, so it means reduced visibilities in that area. Here's a close-up look of Oklahoma City. About an inch. McAllister, about an inch as far as south as you go, and after that it trails out pretty quickly down toward the Red River. Nothing down there in Dallas. Up north, Bartlesville looking about 6 inches of snow. Tulsa looks like about 3. Ponca City close to 4. Muskogee. So this is the sweet spot, in case you hadn't figured it out here for Oklahoma. Now the wild card is Tulsa. And I do see the data going both ways. I do see with a lot of sleet and about 3 inches of snow as well. Or I could see a little bit less sleet and about another inch or 2 more of snow. So you're in the wild card here from a 3 to 6, and I could see it going either 3 or the 6. There's going to be a very fine line, a very hard line in the sand just south and west of you where it tapers off just like this. This is gradient. So, but right now I like the conservative amount of 3 inches for you guys after you've had your morning round of some ice and sleet. Okay, so here's a look at the wind gusts as well. Like I talked about, these are in the pinkish hue, up around 30 to 35. So obviously blowing snow, we do get the snow, especially up in this area. There's a lot less snow to blow around down here, but needless to say, it'll be, whatever's there flying around. So the reduced visibilities will occur for traveling in those regions. So obviously that causes a mess, and that's even more so in Missouri with all that snow. And of course that'll pile up into drifts when you do get winds of 30 miles an hour pushing it. But that means major impact here in the red area for pretty much the southern half of Missouri, at least the southern third. Dangerous or impossible driving conditions. Avoid travel if possible. Widespread closures and disruptions to infrastructure may occur. In other words, stay off the roads because that's going to be a mess. And the orange is the moderate impact, and that's basically that, but just a little lesser degree. Doesn't really change the fact our roads are going to be just as gross too, so you don't want to be getting out in that mess. So temperatures, like we talked about, we've got a very cold period here where we'll be into the teens and single digits for parts of the state. And overnight lows, even though here this is for Oklahoma City, right around 0. Your miles may vary, and if you live north, odds are some of you are going to dip down below 0. And it hadn't been this cold since mid-February of 2021. And we got down to the negative numbers, -6 to -10, 14 degrees back then. So it was colder back then. But what happens is you get this long stretch and you find yourself below freezing for a long time. And that means that any pipes that freeze on Wednesday, they're frozen Thursday and they're likely frozen Friday. The only way we can squeak above 32 on Friday, and sometimes you can and sometimes you can't. It takes one more day to get it, and then the next day you fly right past it. So it's usually what happens with Arctic air. You get really close or you barely struggle to get there, but then the next day you just you're gone, and then after that it's off to the races. So temperatures look good, and nice little warming trend. We might even see 70 in the extended outlook at that point in time. So that's good news for you. So travel-wise, on my website, if you go to aarontuttle.weather.com, you can go to the weather data tab, and there's multi-state road conditions. You can click on that, and you get how your roads look on Tuesday to see how things are going. You can see a lot of other weather information on there as well. And then on here, I've mentioned the last few days, the subscription-based forecast format is changing. So if you do have a chance, go subscribe to that. You can pick any platform you want. This is all the details on there for you: Facebook, Patreon, YouTube, Locals, PayPal, TikTok, Instagram. You can subscribe to any of them that you want. You just watch the content or get the content on that platform, and you also can get it on the private Facebook group page that I create for everybody as well. And then I want to show you a couple things here. So I mentioned wind chill chart. Frostbite times. Like I said, about 30 minutes. This is in this colored shading right here. And that's where you have temperatures at around the goose egg, and then you factor in the wind, up around 30, 35 miles per hour. And that puts those wind chill values into the negative teens and negative 20s. So that means your frostbite happens pretty quick. So just keep that in mind, because we don't have to usually experience that too much in this part of the country. And then a couple of other things that are helpful for you if you've never really kind of put stuff in your car: cell phone charger, water, snacks, blanket for sure. You don't get out in this weather trapped somewhere, you'll freeze to death. So tow rope, sand or kitty litter, try to get yourself out if you can. Full tank of gas, flares, snow shovel, brush, flashlight, mittens, hats, warm clothes, extra set, jumper cables, all that kind of stuff. Let's see what else I got here for you. Oh, the pipes. Yeah, let's do the pipes. How to avoid the frozen pipes this winter. Well, hopefully you did okay for the last couple rounds. But obviously you want to check your irrigation system, make sure everything's turned off and drained, or at least if it's had a leak, fix it now. Eliminate sources of cold air near the water lines, drafty windows, plug the drafts around the doors, identify your home's freezing points because you don't want everything on the interior of your home to freeze up. Know how to shut off your water, know your shut-off valve. Protect your pipes, wrap them with insulation if you haven't done that. Real easy, it's just cheap. You can even use, probably, in the old days, we used newspaper. I don't even know if that was good. We did it. When temperatures stay below freezing, the pipes run through cabinets or vanities. Open them up. Let the warm air in. Keep your water moving through the pipes by allowing a small trickle of water to run. So in the old days, we'd say drip, 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 and I still catch myself saying that, but it's apparently never been a drip. It's always been a trickle. For whatever reason, the drips and the trickles had a fight, and the trickles won out, and the drips are told to get lost. It's not going to help. Let's see. If your pipes do freeze, shut off the water immediately, obviously. You can thaw them with a warm hair dryer or space heater. Just be careful of fires and stuff and open flames. Let's see, when you do turn the water back on, once the pipes are thawed, turn the water back on slowly. There will be pressure buildup, and you don't want to, obviously cause yourself a flood in your home. So there's a few things that can help you out. If you're susceptible to freezing, well, you know what to do. If you've never had it before or really not sure, this is one of those good cold spells to test it out. You'll find out the hard way. I know I did mine, was it last year? We had a brief cold spell for a couple of days, and that's all it took to knock mine frozen. It had never been frozen before. You just never know, I guess. Okay, so last thing here I want to point out is the hypothermia, frostbite action, right? Okay, so let's spot this together. So in cold temperatures, your body begins to lose heat faster than it can be produced. So obviously that causes a problem. So frostbite happens, all right? And a lot of times you don't even aware of it because your tissue freezes and it becomes numb. And once it's numb, well, you got it. So the signs of frostbite would be redness or pain in any skin area, maybe the first sign of frostbite. Other signs include a white or grayish yellow skin area, skin that feels unusually firm or waxy. Well, I'm sure that's going to be pleasant. And numbness. Okay, hypothermia often occurs at very cold temperatures, but can occur at cool temperatures as well. I didn't know that. Above 40. Really? I guess so, maybe. I've never experienced it, thank goodness. But if a person is wet from rain, sweat, or cold water and becomes chilled. Okay, I can see that, I guess. Here's a look at your symptoms. For adults, shivering. Well, if you have the flu, you can shiver. I did that this week. Exhaustion. Well, that was also the flu. Confusion. Yeah, that was the flu. Fumbling hands. Okay, now you got me. Memory loss. Slurred speech. I'm going to blame that on the flu. And drowsiness. So, but yeah, these are also signs of hypothermia. So I don't know. You got both options there. Infants. Bright red, cold skin, and very low energy. So pay attention to those guys. Okay, let's see. If your temperature gets below 95, get medical help. And how do you prevent this? Well, when you go outside, scarf, knit, mask that covers your face, your mouth. We have lots of clothes now that can put on your head. In addition to a hat, water-resistant coat, several layers of loose-fitting clothing, mittens or gloves. The key there is dress in layers, water-resistant boots. So just make sure you stay dry and make sure that you stay covered. Nose, ears, toes, cheeks, chin, fingers, all that kind of stuff. Who's at risk? Elderly, without proper food, clothing, and heating, people who stay outdoors for a long time, homeless, hunters, hikers, etc. I saw a guy hitchhiking the other day. I talked about how the fact that, man, back in the old days, we used to hitchhike all the time. People used to always hitchhike. It was not a big deal. You can pick people up, and you can bring them in and give them a nice warm meal and send them on their way. That was just what we did for one another. Nowadays, you don't do that. You'll end up in a made-for-TV movie. All right, so people who drink alcohol in excess or use illicit drugs, you're at high risk, and babies sleeping in cold rooms. Those are also at high risk. Okay, anything else on here? Let's see. Skin may be numb. Victims of frostbite can harm themselves further. Oh, that's another thing is how you kind of warm yourself up. So do not walk on feet or toes if you do have frostbite. And this is counterintuitive. Do not use a fireplace, heat lamp, radiator, or stove for warming. Do not use a heating pad or electric blanket for warming, and do not rub or massage areas with frostbite. And I know you're going like, what in the world? That's how you're supposed to get warm. I know you're supposed to use just a blanket. So here's some things right here. Remove any wet clothing. All right, so that's the first thing to do, and seek medical attention. Get them into a warm shelter, to a warm room, and then warm them under dry layers of blankets and clothing. So see, it's nothing drastic. It's just very slow and moderate. Place areas affected by frostbite in warm to touch water. And that's also, you would think you put hotter water, right? Nope. So that's what you got to do. Let's be careful about all that. And I'm sure there's a lot of medical reasons as to why. I'm not a doctor, so I don't know. And I didn't Google it or chat GPT it to find out. But you probably could and come back and tell me why you don't want to do this too fast or too hot. So I'm sure it probably has to do with nerve endings and fun stuff that doesn't get to recover properly. Anyway, all right, so that's what I have here for you. I covered the winter storm, the timing of arrival, the precipitation type, how much, the fact the cold weather is definitely legit. It's not too far from our north anyway, so it's going to be here and here for a good 72 hours at least below freezing. Some places will stay a whole nother 24 hours after that, so you're looking at 84 hours below freezing. Some may get a little less than that, especially more south you travel, south of I-40, running east-west out of, say, Little Rock and Oklahoma City to Amarillo, for example. So you'll get to warm up a little faster. Whereas the rest of us stay more in the deep freeze. And so that means if you do have frozen pipes, it means you have to do it that even longer unless you can get them thawed. And then there's some tips and tricks we talked about as well. And then finally, join me. Building the next chapter here of AT's Weather. So we're moving to subscription based. That means the free content will be fading away here very soon. People ask me when. Well, I'm working on it now, so we're probably 1st of March is the game plan here. So live broadcasts, tornado coverage, my blogs, all that kind of stuff. You'll need to be a member to be able to have that activity. And for the website, I'm going to have it locked down. And what I'll probably do is change it to where it's like password protected. So I'll work on that as well for blog activity and stuff. And so when you do see it linked, you click on the link to open it. It'll prompt you to be a member, for example, to read it. So, but that's kind of standard. If you've done anything with Substack, you follow any of the other creators, all same kind of a deal. So that's what we're going to be doing here on AT's Weather. So I'm looking forward to you guys continuing that journey with me. A lot of you have signed up, and I appreciate that. Some of you are not, and you're saying goodbye and appreciate it. And you got it, no problem. Glad I could be here for you for the last 15 years. It's been fun. It's been challenging. It's been neat. I'm a creator. I don't mean creator like this. I mean creator like creative. I just like to create things. So always have, always will. So by changing this into a private venture here as another creative process that I'm going through. And it's fun because it's new for me. And it's kind of going however I think it should go. And we'll figure it out, just like I did this whole thing as it was way back in the day, 2010. So it's been nice. But yeah, I appreciate all of you guys that have watched over the years and supported AT's Weather. Couldn't be done without you. I mean, it's one thing to build something, but if you build something nobody wants or likes, then what were you really building? But you guys loved it and ate it up, and so I kept building more, and here we are 15 years later. So I was the first independent meteorologist to do weather on social media. And when I did that, all my former peers in the TV world and news all laughed, and they denigrated me, and they slang termed me. They called me the internet meteorologist, as though that was a beneath them term. And these are TV weather people. I'm like, really? The irony there. And of course, the irony was even further when you fast forward a few years, and I was so far ahead of the curve. Now they all want to be internet meteorologists, and I'm like, and it's just too funny. NPCs is how I look at it. I mean, it's not even worth my breath. Just the fact that you guys didn't see the writing on the wall, and I guess I did. So I don't know, but I did that, back then, and I was just having fun. I was just building something. I was just curious. There's an old expression, you throw stuff to the wall and see what sticks. And I was just throwing stuff to the wall and say, hey, let me just play with this and see what happens. And then one thing led to another, and all of a sudden I was building AT's Weather, and it was great. So that was fun. That got a lot of attention, and what that did is it showed that you could do weather on social media. And for the TV stations, they ended up mimicking and modeling that behavior and copying what I was doing here in the greater Oklahoma City metro area. And then I went past them again because I was able to built a studio in my office here to do live broadcasts. So as soon as the live capability came around for Facebook, I jumped on it, and YouTube as well. So I started doing live weather. So live weather updates like this one. And then I started doing live tornado coverage for severe weather. And I released a weather app. And so, again, the first solo meteorologist to do any of this on their own. And I was like, all right, this will work. And so I did that too. And then I just kind of kept building things, kept adding things, and just kind of kept tweaking things. And that got a lot of eyeballs on me, and it's fine. I mean, I don't care. It's like I don't even know what's going on behind me because I'm too busy in the front leading. So I'm just thinking about what else I can do. And so that's kind of how this whole process worked. And you guys are with me every step of the way. And every month goes by, more of you join in, more of you spread the word, and that was awesome. So it was all organic. Everything was organic on this platform. I didn't do a single pay for anything nonsense, because when I built all this, there was no money. It was just me. I just wanted to create something. I wanted to serve people. I really missed the job in weather that I did when I was in TV. because that was a passion of mine. And then, but I had to get out of that industry because I saw what it was, and it was garbage. It is a garbage industry. I mean, some of you probably already know that. Some of you probably who left it are watching right now going, yeah, I know. And some of you like, I should have gotten out, sooner like you did. But yeah, I saw the writing on the wall. I'm like, nah, I don't want any part of that. So I got out of that industry, but I had such a huge skill set built up because of it. And it'd be a waste not to use it, right? So I just built stuff, and I said, all right, I can build a TV studio. I worked in one long enough. I know all the parts, and so that's kind of how that part started. And I just kind of kept going forward with stuff, and it's the same job I had always done, except I just do it on my own instead of some boss telling me what to do. I'm the boss, and so I was like, yeah, it's no problem. I can do that. And it turns out that because my background and training is in radar meteorology, it was a good fit. So for storm coverage and stuff, I was a storm chaser in the past as well days. So I have all that extra visual knowledge to be able to relate it to what I'm looking at when I'm looking at maps and stuff. So I can do a lot of good visualization. Then you have the whole communication aspect of it. Then you have the graphics stuff. Well, as a kid, I was actually going to be an artist. So I was on the fence. I liked weather. Let's say that. Let's put it this way. I loved weather, but I also loved art in various different mediums. So I was good at. It didn't really matter what the medium was. I was good at it. Let's put it that way. And so I was like, well, it's really what I want to do. And then my mom, I was like 13 at this time, and my mom was like, well, you can do art. You're really good at it, but you're going to live in a cardboard box. And at that age, I really thought she meant I was going to live in a cardboard box. My brain wasn't developed enough to know the difference that, metaphors and hyperboles and everything else. So I was like, well, that doesn't sound too good. Whether it is. So, but that was actually, even though she didn't intend it that way, but I took it that way as a young, impressionable, wee little lad. It worked out because I could use all that artistic side of my brain to go and do the creative design. And then with the computer science background that you learn, you can transform that from any medium that you can tangible, from painting and charcoal and pottery, which all kind of stuff I did. Then I could just do it computer design and do my own graphics and everything else. And so that also kind of aided to the birth of AT's Weather. So it was a really good combination where you had a guy that was creative, had a really good intensive educational background in meteorology, and specifically in even some radar meteorology. He was a great forecaster. So that all worked. A good artist. Then you got the creative design on the computer science side. We was computer programming in college, so that helped out as well because I had to build stuff. I had to make stuff. I had to, for example, streaming wise, I had to hack a graphics card so I could stream multiple feeds at once. When graphics cards wouldn't do that. And then when they did want to do that, they were professional level at $20,000 a piece, and I did it on a $300 one. Again, nobody hands you the instructions on how to do that. You got to figure it out. So those are a lot of the things that no one knows behind the scenes of part of me that made this whole thing work as just a solo individual entity. So no one could ever duplicate exactly what I did because no one ever is me, right? And that's the same thing with you. No one is you. No one's going to have your skill set. No one's going to have your knowledge. No one's going to have how you process things. So you're unique in that, right? And so whatever you do is truly you. You can have imitators and copycatters, and that's great. And then they say it's flattery, but they can never be you. And there are people in different industries that are like that. You're like, wow, I want to be just like them. Well, you never can. Even you can aspire. And you get pretty close, but you'll never be them, right? So it's the same thing in this case, and there's been a ton of people in the weather world that have been watching what I've been doing over the years and realize, oh man, so you can release your own weather app. You don't need a TV station to do it. You don't need some big company like AccuWeather to do it. You can do it. So you can do that. You can build your own website. You can start doing your own social media broadcasts. You can build your own TV studio. You can make your own graphics. So, your own forecast, all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of like, I don't know, it was there. It just, nobody did it. I just did it. But there was a lot of people doing it. And that was great. And then the unfortunate thing happened. COVID happened. I think that was really what it was. COVID happened and it changed the landscape overnight with social media. And I think a lot of people were out of a job and they're at home, and they can't, talk to anybody in person. So they all they're forced to now think outside the box to survive. And in that aspect, in that frame, social media started then, algorithm-wise, to reward behavior that was unbecoming. In other words, it wasn't legitimate, it wasn't unique, it wasn't individual, it wasn't creative, it was sensational, it was hype, it was clickbait, it was engagement farming. So we changed transitions during that time as these people are now jumping in, trying to all become internet famous all at once, for whatever their motivation is. But the ones that dived into weather, at first we laughed at these accounts sharing computer model maps because they never pan out. You can't share a snow map from 2 weeks from now and say it's going to snow 14 inches. This doesn't work. But they didn't stop them, right? So the weather community would laugh it off and go, oh, you guys are idiots. But what the weather community didn't understand is that no one else knew that but the weather community, which means you at home, you see a map of 14 inches of snow, you're going to share it. Bing, bing. That's what happened. So then floodgates opened, grifters came out, and the weather field took a total dump. And it just got flooded with grifters galore, all trying to make a buck on the whole social media platform landscape because of that. And it didn't just stay with the graphics and stuff. Because what I was able to do and show in the industry, I had copycatters that kind of mimicked what I was doing. What I did not ever anticipate coming was these guys weren't meteorologists. They're grifters. They're fakes, frauds, phonies. Who cares? I mean, they're not educated. They're not degreed. But nobody knew that. And they make the big bells and whistles, the big bright colors, and they build the big, get you dopamine going, brain stuff for studios, all that nonsense on the screen. And I just sat there watching that going, you've got to be kidding me. And there's no policing. It's not like a doctor. You don't have to have some license to operate. And so I'm sitting here going, we're doomed. It's over. This whole landscape for weather, it's garbage now. It's trash. And so no one knows who's legit anymore. No one knows who's the real deal. No one knows who's there to make bucks and fool you and make a fool out of you. And I'm like, once I saw that, I was like, I don't know if I want to be this anymore because it's not what it was when I got in. Remember, I got in long ago. And I'm like, all right, we're 15 years into this. And this is where it's going. I'm like, yeah, I don't think I want to be in there. Because remember, I have to answer all these questions like, well, what's so-and-so to this? I'm like, who the heck is so-and-so? Like, so-and-so is an idiot. And it was like, I don't want to deal with that. And so I was like, all right, well, something's got to change. And then on top of all that, the final nail, and this is what finally pushed me over the edge, is you don't make hardly any money with the ads and stuff. There's like pennies, right? So a lot of the stuff that I did was all self-funded, especially in the early days, and then whatever donations you guys did for me over the years, and the few of the subscriptions that you guys would come in off and on over the years. So that all kind of helped, but it doesn't cover everything. But I'm certainly not going to say no. I'm grateful. Just put it that way, because otherwise it could have been zero, right? It's one of those deals. But you're never going to make a living at it. The way I had it structured, because I didn't structure it to make a living, I structured it to help people. So I didn't care about the living part. I cared about helping people because I had a full-time job. So this is what I was doing on my own, just because I wanted to. Remember, I'm being creative and I like helping people. So what are you going to do? That's my outlet. So that's what I was put on this earth for. So this is what I know. It's one of those things. When you know, you know. So that's just what it is. You don't even question it. So then when I realized that all the money has dried up completely because of the engagement farming, of the new algorithms rewarding everything that is in that style now, and there's way more creators out there now. So what happens is it thins the pot so diluted, and then the diluted pot then is all shoved where the algorithms shove it to, which of course is where it's going to get the most big words and scary hype and all this other kind of stuff. So that's where because it really just uses you. You guys getting used all the time. So every time you're being used, it's a fear. It's a fear motivator factor, and you guys get used, and then it's done. And so the motivation then goes to the money coffers. So I was like, okay, well, I can't survive in that environment. I got bills to pay too, right? So I was like, all right, well, something's going to change. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to shrink the audience down because it did get a lot out of control. It's hard to manage 200,000 people. It's just very hard. I can't give that same intimate one-on-one or, community type approach like I used to be able to back in the day. So you gradually lose that when you have a bigger audience. And so I never did like that, but I didn't know what the solution for that was. So this then helps that. This shrinks the audience back down. I mean, if we at the end of the day, if we have like 2,000 people, that's it. I'm totally fine with that. If you had 100 people, it's like that. I'm fine with that. I want it back in closer. So I am now doing the opposite everybody else is trying to do, is blow up their deal because there's such pennies going around. So it's a numbers game. It's like it's typical sales, right? When you're cold calling, you got to call 99 people, and the one person finally doesn't hang up on you. Yay! You got to sell, or it's a lead. It's one of those deals. So I don't want to be in that model, in that mold. So I have to exit that. So I've got to come up with something new and unique. So that's why I said, forget it. We're going all private. Everything's got to be in the membership bubble. And so what I realized that does a couple things for me is it just relieves a lot of tension and stress. That's for one thing. Two, instead of me giving, and then sometimes a little give back, but it's always just 90% me pedal to the metal giving, there is now reciprocal equal weight of giving back. So in other words, it's a 50-50. I'm to you and you to me. So now it's a symbiotic relationship, and so now it's back to being a healthy one. It's no longer a dysfunctional one. And then by doing so, then it's one that can be continued and carry on forward. You have to be in a partnership that benefits both sides. And for me, I needed that more of that closeness, more of that community feel again, and also I need to pay the bill. So it was a win-win. Plus, I needed to get out of the weather space of where it is now. I don't want to be in that space anymore. And I already told you why, because it's garbage now, and I don't want to be in the garbage field. So I'm going to take it into the little bubble. And I think that's going to work out well because my energy levels were draining. So this will reinvigorate me and then give me some new creative drive and get another purpose, kind of a deal. And I still get to help everybody. And what it means is you value my time, you value my effort, you value my skill set, you value that I save your life. So you have all those values, whereas I'm on the reverse side. I value that you work hard for those $2. And I value that you are nice enough to give those $2 to me. And because I know you have to make a sacrifice for that. You might have to give up something. And I'm not saying $2 in cheek, tongue in cheek. I'm saying, no, I mean, some people, that's a lot of money, and I get it. It's still a lot for me. Any money's a lot for me, especially in this climate. So I understand all of that. So I'm appreciative of that, which is why I kept the price to the low end. So in other words, I don't even set these tiers. The platforms do. And most of them are way up there. I picked the most bottom one, because I just want you in. So what it does then is that it brings you into the fold, and now we have a brand new community going forward where everybody benefits, where we work hard and we value each other's time, we value each other's professionalism, and it weeds out the cancer. The one thing I realized in this industry, in this business, and what I do is there's a lot of cancer out there. And I say that because it's not positive energy. It's those that they're fake. It's one side of their mouth, they say one thing, but they really say or do the other. The typical kind of politician type deal. And by meaning, for example, you can have someone follows me and they may say, "Oh, I love you. You're the GOAT. You're the greatest." But then they say the same thing around the 5 other people they follow. You see what I'm saying? So they're not legitimate. They're not real. And so when you do say something like this and say, "Hey guys, I'm going to go to a closed group, we're going to do membership only," all of a sudden you're no longer the GOAT. You're a piece of what. And then you go and you run your mouth and to everybody that you know on all your other platforms. And I'm like, "You got triggered that bad?" I said, "Dude," I've been doing nothing but serving you for 15 years, and that's all it took to get you triggered. So that's cancer, and I want it gone. I don't want any cancer anywhere near what I've got going on here, because I want all legitimate people in this fold. So that's another thing, even though it's only $2, and believe it or not, it's a limitation that kicks the cancer out. And that's perfect, because I don't have to deal with any drama or any nonsense from anybody. Anybody who's followed me long enough or knows me long enough knows exactly what you get, knows who I am, knows how I handle things, all of it. It's all the fly-by-nights, the ones that come visit because they read a blog post and now they think they know me. All those idiots, I don't care about. They're all NPCs. NPCs mean nothing to me. You have no value. You have no value to anybody, much less yourself, because you're an NPC. You don't even know it. You ain't got a soul. So if you got a soul, no value, you're just taking up space. So anyway, so I don't think anything of you. But the real people, obviously, the ones with hopes and dreams and love and, desires and camaraderie and community. Oh yeah, come on in. I mean, those are my people. That is what we can build the community on. The rest of the people that they're yelling on their way out the door. Don't let the door hit you. You don't even have to announce your departure. You can just slip on in the back. No one's gonna miss you. So that's how I view that. And you're like, man, you're cold. That's tough love. I mean, it is tough love. Why? Because this is my energy center, and I want it all positive, and I don't want any of your negative nonsense. So anyone's got negative nonsense, there's no place for you, and that's fine. Go somewhere else. They'll take your negative nonsense. I took it for 15 years. I'm just not going to take it anymore. That's the big difference. And part of that comes with, I guess, growing up, experience, age, how you view the world, how you view things and people. Remember, I've been around people my entire life on this because I've been in the television news since 22? Yeah, I think age 22. So I've met more people than I can even remember, and it's just interesting when you get to view and meet and interact with so many different individuals. You learn a lot about the human mind, how the human works, thinks, acts. It's really we're a huge psychological experiment for something. I don't know what, but it's entertaining. So anyway, so point being, it's just been interesting to interact with so many folks and to kind of see where things had been and then where they were going and where they needed to go. It's like all kind of adds in, kind of just changes as you get older and you kind of see things differently. So plus I love that new expression that's been going around. There's always new things that are here, one day and they're gone the next, but the no F's given, I'm loving that one. So I'm in that no F's given mode where I no longer care. I used to care so much because you want to be very protective of yourself, of your character, of what you build, and that's all normal. Right? Because no one has a right that doesn't even know you to come and try to take it away from you and to tear you down. I'm like, dude, you don't even know me. No, you can't have the keys to my castle. It's my effing castle. I built it. Who are you to come try and take it? So you do have that inherent desire to fight, which is normal. Obviously, it's part of us, or we wouldn't feel that way. And that's the right thing to do. I mean, there is a time for that, and I did that for so long because I had to protect me, my brand, what I built. Because I'm like, who are you to try to put words in people's mouths of who I am? And unfortunately, because a lot of people are idiots, and I do mean that, a lot of people are idiots, they'll believe anything that they read, and that's true, it's a saying, and it is so true. They'll believe whatever about me, and it's like, really? Dude, you don't even know me. That person doesn't even know me. They're just getting money because they found out a way to sucker you into a blog, and you fell for it, and now they're cashing in. I mean, you got used, and now you're coming at me saying I'm this, that, and the other. I'm like, dude, if you were here for the last 10 years, you'd know who I was. So, you do have all of that, and it just gets old. It gets so tiring. So I was a constant battle all the time of people just coming at me. I'm like, who are you fools? And it's like, whatever, and then, so you get enough of that, and then you have to get to where I got to see it differently. And so you have to go through all that. It's a lot of fire, and it's a lot of drama. It's a lot of stress, a lot of BS. And there's a lot of faces you'd love to punch, but you don't because you're the good guy. And you always got to be the good guy. So, but anyway, so after that, I was like, okay, as I view things differently, and this is because it comes to a revelation of, and I'm telling you, it was COVID. COVID opened up my eye to humanity. I always, because of my background, I always had my suspicions, and I was already kind of going toward that. But when I saw how quickly humans would turn on one another, and I thought about the whole, stories of old, how when you say how could they do that? How could they turn in their fellow brethren? I'm like, you kidding me? 2020 was nothing about turning each other in. And I was just sickened by it. I was like, wow, we're so fragile. We're just a bunch of turds in a turd bowl. So once I saw that, I was like, okay, I got to stop taking all this too seriously because there's really a bunch of idiots out there. And I said, okay, so we've got a lot of idiots, obviously. Okay, fine, whatever. You have a lot of cons because remember the cons, the grifters started coming up, and I was sitting there thinking, all these groups of people, right? I said, how do they live with themselves? How do they look at themselves in the mirror at bed at night in the morning after they either took advantage of someone or they purposely hurt someone and they feel good about it? And I thought, how's that possible? And I said, you have to have something inside you because you're a human to at least have some itsy bitsy part of either remorse or understanding of what you're doing, and then to affect you physically. And these people don't. Nothing, zero. And I thought, wait a minute, I don't think they're human. And I joke about that, and that's it. And then you start, you hear the terms like NPCs, and I'm like, I think there's more to that. I don't know what it is yet, but there's more to it. And so once you start realizing that some of these people, they're really not human, and I mean that, I think, in a non-serious but serious way. There's something missing, and like they look like human, they act like human, but they're missing something. You can call it a soul, you can call it a conscious. But there's something not there. And so NPC is a good way, just a general term, just to say it. But once you can get to that dismissive point, then they lose their power over you. They lose their grip. They hold no weight because they don't matter. They have no value. They're a stain on the planet because they have no retribution. They have nothing that they're giving back to society or to themselves. So in other words, everybody's on their own individual, unique journey. And your journey is to learn whatever it is you're supposed to about yourself. And you can argue how far back this goes. You can be of the mindset that you've been here multiple times. You can be here, this is my one and only time. It doesn't really matter. Common theme is you're supposed to be learning some type of growth story while you create and do something positive to benefit you and others. That's really how we're all wired. Even though we are self-centered, because you have to be self-centered to actually get to the other part of it, there's still something there to do all that with. So when I see others, which we would call evil back in the day, right? It's a catch-all term. Religion loves to put that on there for you to make it easy. And I'm like, no, that doesn't cover it. Evil's not it either. There's something beyond that. That's too easy of a excuse. There's something way deeper. So anyway, so you can really go deep on this. You can go off into some rabbit holes on this. I mean, you can get into the weird stuff, supernatural stuff. You can get into we don't even know what we're looking at stuff because we only have 5 senses and we only see, less than 1% of the entire spectrum. So what else is the 99% that we can't touch, feel, see, hear, experience, visualize, whatever? There's so many things out there we don't even know that's going around us all the time. We get a little glimpse and pieces of it here and there, from people's accounts, but you don't really know the big picture. And so anyway, so you do know something out there. There's something going on. You're not wired to see it. Probably because we'd all go crazy, but I know there's something out there. Anyway, but if I can tie the NPCs into that realm where, let's just say, for example, because I'm not saying this, but let's just say there's 5 species on this planet, all right? Humans are one of them, and there are some human hybrids, and there's whatever you want to call those 4 other species, all right? And those 4 other species don't have a soul, or they don't have a conscience, or they're not part of the collective, or whatever. But they look and act like the rest of us, so we don't know it. And we don't have the other senses to be able to tell the difference. All right, so let's say something simple like that. All right, well then you can go, well then it makes sense that you can look at yourself in the mirror and hurt the person right next to you and do what you do and sleep fine at night. It makes sense. So it's my way of making sense of a very large group of the population that I'm like, who in the world would do that or think that way? It's beyond barbaric. It's like I said, it's soulless. So once I detach people and put them in that category, all the stress, all the worry, all the fear of what they might think about me, all goes into the toilet and gets flushed, and it doesn't even matter anymore. So it was kind of liberating to get to that point But to get to that point, man, you had to go through COVID and see the ugliest side of humanity to do it. And then try to start putting the pieces together and then being able to categorize it so that you can somehow try to understand and then move on. Because otherwise, if you have to accept what it is, right? If you don't, you'll go nuts. Because you're like, this is it? This is what we're all living in? This is the human race? F that, man. The human race can go nuke itself. Once you get to that, I mean, where are you going to go? You got no place else to go. So you're going to have to find a way to separate the wheat from the chaff and just say, all right, those aren't humans. Those are NPCs. And I mean, this may sound kind of funny, and it may sound a little weird, but I'm telling you, that's kind of how I was able to flip the switch, and get off of a lot of that nonsense, because there's so much of it out there. And then I'm like, all right, I'm good. So anyway, that was a really long story as part of the reason as to why everything's changing and why I got to bring everybody in closer into my tribe. And so we'll go forward into AT's weather in that regard. And I keep doing everything I've been doing. It'll just be for a smaller group of people. And that's totally fine with me. So the ones that want to be here and have my services and have me help them lower the anxiety during tornadoes and keep them calm, cool, and collected, and their kids, prevent PTSD, prevent something that's going to require brain mapping and EMDR therapy and stuff like that later in life, because they're all freaked out because they watched some dude on TV scare the crap out of them, over a tornado or whatever, all that kind of stuff. No, man, I'm going to help you out with that. So that's why I've been doing it forever and still am, and we're going to keep doing it. All right, I'm going to wrap this up. Looks like I have my little Yorkie's coming here, which means she's missing her dad. Okay. She doesn't get it. She's very needy. Hi. So if she doesn't have human interaction, probably on an average of once every hour or two, you come find us. Yeah. This is Penelope, by the way. Okay, that's my phone. And that's my computer ringing. Oh, that was TikTok. That's what it was. You made somebody on TikTok happy. Yeah. She loves getting kisses, by the way. You feel better now? Tell you what, man, the amount of personality dogs have for the size of this little brain. This teeny tiny little brain has got more personality than a single NPC on this planet. Yeah. I could replace every NPC with you. You know what the world would be? It'd be like a Coke commercial in the 80s. Alright. Okay, that's little Penelope. She's like, I don't know, 4 pounds, 3.5, something like that. I don't think she's 3. I can't remember. She's tiny. Anyway, Larry's in the room. He's probably asleep. As usual. He gets to conserve. She plays all day long. He conserves. So, okay. That's it. So, thanks for tuning in. I know I only plan on doing a weather hit, and then I got off onto a side tangent, which sometimes happens. But if you've been around long enough, you know that can happen. Just does, out of the blue. Okay, that's it for me. I'm going to get out of here. Thanks for all your support. Oh, you know what? Real quick. Hold on. Before I do go, anybody, let me just click on the... if you have a question for me, real fast, you can shoot it. And I'll answer it. Otherwise, I was about to sign off, so I can answer a couple real quick. Yeah, the toilet paper hoarding was legit. So, by the way, just so you know, if I don't really get a chance to read the comments when I'm digging at the maps and stuff, but when I do stop to do it like this, I can read them. I see you, Johnny. Man, I'm so buried right now. I've got, that's another thing. I get everybody in these group. So if you do ask to get on the Facebook group, that's going to take some time. So just be patient with me, because I have to vet everybody that wants to come in. Nobody comes in that's not supposed to be in, which means that's a one-on-one oversight. Now, you do the math on that. That's a minimum. If they follow the rules, that's a minimum of 1 minute per person. That's bare minimum. Sometimes it's 2 minutes a person. And remember, I have things to do. So it takes a while to get through. Let's put it that way. I'm going to be all week trying to get caught up. Oh, TikTok says, this is so ridiculous. Your live is not eligible for recommendation and restricted in search results because it contains unoriginal or reproduced content. This is in line with the For You feed eligibility standards under our community guidelines. TikTok is idiot. See what I have to deal with? This is an example on one platform. This still just so I have to hit the appeal button, and it'll still say denied. It'll say that I am not original and unreproduced. It'll say that I'm whatever. Let's see. My live does not contain the mentioned in the notice. TikTok should allow content like mine. I understand the decision, but the restriction is too strict. The notice is unclear. TikTok should allow. Okay. My live does not contain the content mentioned in the notice. Sure, I'll hit that one. Hit submit. That's the second time it's done that. Sorry, got sidetracked here. Part of the whole, when you got to run the operation, you got to click on a bunch of stuff. Anyway, that's example stuff I have to deal with, and sure any other content creator. Just these algorithms, man, they're atrocious. They're always changing stuff. But yeah, whenever you do join a platform, just send me the receipt on email. Yes, Melody, if you're on YouTube, you can get on the Facebook group page. So that's what a lot of people do. So no matter what platform they apply to, they can get that platform they're on and the Facebook group page. So there's a Facebook groups page is a catch-all. All right, so it has everybody in it. You don't have to go to that one. I'm just saying it's just there for you if you want it. But you get there by applying for the group and sending me the receipt of wherever platform that you're on. So, and that's why it takes so long to get in. Otherwise, when you do sign up for whatever platform, you are instantly in that platform. So there's no wait for that. It's just for the Facebook group. For the wait for that. So, for example, if you're on YouTube, when I go live on YouTube, you'll be able to watch it on YouTube. You don't have to wait or anything. All right. Speaking of YouTube, let me jump over there real quick. Let's see if there was a question. By the way, thanks for the new subscribers there, Keith and Tara, Mark, and Cody. And Melissa and Jennifer. Joey, do you think you can make a living with subscriptions now? I love it if you did in this full time. You know what? I wish. Yes and no. We'll see. It's really up to you guys. Everything's been just to see what happens type deal. Me going private is, trust me, no one's done that. No one wanted to do it because no one thought you could. And even people who are commenting on me says, "Good luck with your 10 subs. You can't privatize the weather. It's free. You can get it anywhere." So that's the mindset that you can't subscribe to. And I subscribed to it for a long time because everything's subsidized in the weather. You don't ever pay for weather because it's always subsidized, meaning somebody's paying for it. It may not be you directly, but you're either paying for it indirectly through your eyeballs and your buying habits, and watching the commercials, etc. Or you do directly if you like to, pay some type of subscription. But otherwise, most of the time it's subsidized, that other people are paying for it. And they get you on other things. So we'll see how well this is successful. I can guarantee you, if it is, and I am successful at bringing in enough subscribers over, then you bet there will be copycats following, or at least trying to follow and do what I did. I don't know if they'll be successful. It's up to them and their follower base, how many NPCs they have versus how many legitimate people. And then there you go. So, yeah, I'm curious. It was not easy to make that decision because it could have easily gone the other way. I could have had not a single one of you sign up. I could have had all of you go, forget this. But it was a complete opposite. So I'm very, very happy. And we'll see how it goes. But keep in mind, I have several years of income loss to try to make up for, to try to, for example, I could never put in the amount of money I needed to for my retirement, right? So you sacrifice a lot. So when people, see me doing this and they think, you're doing it for free, or no, you're getting a little bit of money here and there. I'm like, you don't understand. And I said, it's not what you think, and I still have to sacrifice so much just to do it, because I did not design it to be a money-making enterprise. So, and again, but that's because the weather also was always free. So I was programmed to do it and do it for free, because you're going to give to people. So how dare you charge for it? That was put in my head from somehow, some way. I don't know why, but it's false, and I believe it to be false. And probably just because I didn't want to soil or taint what was to be something authentic and genuine. And I think I probably thought that would mess that up. So now I didn't worry about it. I said, I'll be all right. I'll be all right. I'll make money somewhere else. In hindsight, all over again, if I was a businessman centered, focused, I would have structured it differently to where it would have been more of a lucrative endeavor. But I did not put money first. That was the last thing on my plate. Everything else was first, and that was you guys. So, and building you up and helping you out. So that's the way I did it. So right or wrong, that's the path I chose, and we're here 15 years after. So obviously it was good, and I made just enough to keep it going. So obviously that was somehow successful in that aspect of it. And I have you guys here, so I think it's a win. All right. Anyway, so I would just kind of glance through the comments there real quick. So yeah, my website, AaronTuttleWeather.com. You can get all the information there as well. And I need to do is I need to hang this up so I can start letting some of you guys in the group. Yeah, Kimberly, I see you on there. You're in there. I know. You sent me your receipt. I saw it go through. It's in my list of email of I don't know how many. So I'm just telling you, if you're in the group or you're waiting, you best have answered the questions. I'm serious. If you asked to get in that group and you didn't answer every single question, you better go change it right now, because if I see it, it's not good news for you. So just make sure you put the questions in there and you send me the receipt. Where's the email? It's on the questions, which means you have to read the questions. And if you're too good to read the questions, you're too good to be in the group. Remember, I got no cancer coming in. It's all good energy. Follow the rules. We're going to be good. All right. So I'll probably do another live. It's already 6 o'clock now, so I don't know. I don't think I'll do one tonight. I will do one tomorrow, of course. I don't know, probably lunchtime-ish. I think I got an appointment at around noon, though, so it might be afterwards, like in the afternoon. And I'll definitely do one tomorrow evening. But I might do one this evening when 9:30 when new data comes in, just a real short one. So, well, we'll see. I got work to do, so I get busy. I get out of here. But thanks again for tuning in, guys, on all the platforms. I appreciate you and signing up. If you need some information, it's on my website, AaronTuttleWeather.com. You can find all the places you can subscribe, or whatever you're watching right now, you can subscribe on that. Just go find somewhere on my page where it says to join. I'm sure there's a button somewhere. That's it. All right, guys, have a great rest of your day if I don't talk to you. And we'll see you Monday or later tonight. Take care.